All right, we are back. This is the third episode of the Mindset Effect, and we're glad to be back. This has been such a privilege to be here with all of you guys who check in with us for the last couple of episodes. And you know what the story is. We're here to inspire. We are here to help you grow, to learn, to be better, to improve. And so, by logging in today, you have told us that you are one of those type of people, that you're a person who loves to be inspired, that loves to grow, and wants to become better in whatever field, whatever industry, or whatever situation you find yourself in. So firstly, to introduce, my name is Leighton Watson, Soul Strong, one on Instagram.
Yes, sir.
And to my left,
Jamal Miles, so many names, so many styles, so many profiles.
so many styles and profiles. I love it, man.
Yes, sir. We're back again.
We are back again, man. And so today, we wanted to talk a little bit more about the family and COVID. It's been a rock and rolling and a roller coaster the last couple of years, but that also means there are some huge opportunities there and things that we can garner from that. So we wanted to kind of touch on a few things, a few questions we're going to answer. One of them is, how was COVID and that impacted our lives and our families? What are some of the major trends that have emerged from the lockdown and COVID? And also, what strategies can we use and improve and kind of benefit from the lockdown?
Absolutely.
Right. So, yeah.
The lockdown has been something that, I don't know about you, my friend, but for me personally, it's there's good things and there's bad things that I've learned from the lockdown. Mm-hmm. One of the first things I've actually learned in the lockdown was how caught up I was in just daily grind, trying to make it, like, as far as like working and improving myself and meeting quotas and being on time and hustling and bustling, getting the Jazzy to school, and then running around, and then when I get home I'm like hustling and bustling in the bed, and then waking up, it's just like I was in a rat race, fam.
Right.
And it just stopped everything. Like, once the pandemic hit, I remember driving in my service truck, me and my coworker were driving in the service truck, and there was like nobody outside.
Wow.
And I felt like I was in like zombie land, or like
Armageddon,
man. Like iRobot or something. Like, and then we're driving the next day, and it was like dead. Like, I remember I had a service call. Our shop was in at Leslie and Highway 7 in Richmond Hill.
Right.
We got to Yorkdale in like 8 minutes. And
you're flying.
Yeah, Yorkdale is at Allen Road and 401. So usually on a regular day, on a regular time, it'll take you like 20, 25 minutes. You guys sit in your car. You listen to almost half an album, yeah. Right? But we got to Yorkdale 8 minutes. And then when I looked at Yorkdale's parking lot, empty.
And Yorkdale's parking lot is usually rammed.
Out of the frame. It's like the airport, right? So that's when I realized, okay, something's really wrong here.
Right. And
that is COVID pandemic. At that time, it was March 8th, 2020. Mm-hmm. All the stocks were taking a dive off the cliff.
Right.
The radio was playing music, but there was nobody bopping their head. Right. Like, I looked at my homeboy's face as we were driving, and he looked scared.
Right.
This dude is like a very disciplined, militant, brave, courageous dude. He's from China.
Right.
He was getting on his WeChat, because we have WhatsApp here in the West.
They have WeChat out on the East side.
Exactly. They have WeChat. His WeChat was going nuts, and he was showing me pictures back in China, like in Wuhan, which is like the size of New York City. It's like 11 million people, fam.
Holy smokes. I didn't realize it was that big.
It's huge. And there was people like basically like dead on the ground.
Dead?
Yeah, fam. They were like bodies upon bodies just in the streets.
Holy smokes, man.
It was really, really bad. That's why, China eventually just locked everything down and stopped reporting their numbers. But he looked at me and was like, Jamal, before it gets better, it's going to get worse.
Yeah, bro. I tell you what, I was,
yes, sir.
Yeah, when this happened for the same thing, like I was working a sales job and whatnot. Everybody kind of moved home. And it was kind of strange because it was almost eerie. Like, as you said, you walk outside, everybody's cars are in their driveway. Yeah. Everybody's walking. Bicycles are out. There's no cars on the road. It was eerie. But you know what? There was also this other side to it, which I thought was interesting, which was as I was going for my walk, because I tend to try to walk and clear my mind and stuff, that emptiness also provided some clarity, right? Because for a moment there, it was peaceful.
Yes.
Do you know what I mean?
Yes.
Like there was also this peace that kind of came upon me because when I'd go outside, like you would like now hear the birds, you would hear animals, you would like the clouds were like everything was brighter for just that moment, right?
Absolutely.
So I had to so my perspective changed on everything.
Yes.
I was no longer I had to go to work. I mean, I had to stay home.
Yes.
So I had to like see and be in a new environment.
Yes.
Right. And so you know, yeah, as you said, there was some good things, there was some bad things. But for one of the things that came out was this peace.
And the peace and quiet, tranquility. You actually had to stop. Everybody had to stop. Banks, malls, stores, workplaces. You actually got to meet and introduce yourself and learn more about other people that you work with or your neighbors or people outside because everybody stopped what they were doing and realized the world is on reset.
Well, let me ask you this question.
Yes, sir.
You know, you say you were out there on a service call. Like, how did that impact business for you? Because you know you're in the HVAC business there, right? So as you were traveling around, going on calls, going into people's houses, all this sort of stuff, like how did that impact your business? And did you make any changes while that was going on?
Wow. The impact is actually like for the trades, particularly that's when I learned about the essential workers, like what is actually essential. So they had the medical workers, obviously the hospitals are doing numbers, right? But for me, from a heating and cooling home comfort perspective, we actually got busier. Like it never stopped.
Really?
Because now people are at home. So now they're realizing, hey, my furnace actually is not working, or my water heater stopped working. We don't have hot water. Or when it got to the summer months, which was probably the craziest ever in heating and cooling history in the world.
Right.
Air conditioning was doing numbers. That summer was hot.
Right.
So we were actually busier. Like at 1 week, I think I worked like 115 hours in 1 week. Right.
115 hours.
Yeah.
No sleep.
Yeah, I definitely slept. Sometimes I slept like before, like I park up the van and kind of like
Sleep in the truck. Yeah, I'm with you.
And then 20 minutes, I'm like, all right, I'm refreshed, right? A lot of water, some coffee, exercise, and just the sunlight, like appreciating the sun helped me give me good D3, give me good energy, right? But what I realized too is the importance of being essential, what that means. And also I realized that when you're not comfortable, it doesn't matter what or where you live, or an apartment or a condo or a house or a townhouse, semi-detached. You can have the best house or the shantiest house. When you're hot or when you're cold, nothing matters.
Bro, it's so true, man. You know what? Talk about that. So when I was living in the apartment before, we had this massive window, right?
Yes.
And when the sun would shine, the thing was like a magnifying glass.
Yeah.
That was so hot.
Yeah.
Right? And it was like, if you're trying to sit there, you have friends over or whatever, like you're in an apartment.
Yeah.
So I don't get to control the heating and all that sort of stuff,
exactly,
right?
Yeah.
Sometimes the heat is on because of that weird time of the year.
Yeah.
Bro, you're in there baking. You're like, are we baking a roast or are we baking ourselves in there? You know what I mean? Thing was hot. And so you're trying to sit there, imagine trying to do work, you know what I mean? And the place is hot. Like, you're right. Comfort is critical. But I also wanted to ask you this question.
Yes, sir.
Because with a pandemic, you know, the natural inclination was that this is a bad thing. It's a problem. But it seems like in terms of for business, it was a huge opportunity for you.
It was a massive opportunity because I realized that everybody wants to be comfortable. But the thing that we all have in common is that we all have struggled in some way or another. That's the one thing that any industry, any race, any gender can say they appreciate and can understand struggle.
Right.
Because what I realized was the reason why our profession was so looked after is because we maintain people's comfort level.
No doubt.
If you can't sleep, then you're tired in the morning.
Yeah.
If you're tired in the morning, you can't work. If you can't work, you can't make money. If you can't make money, then
Right.
it's a problem. If you can't take care of your kids, then it's a problem. If your wife's hot or cold, it's a problem. If your kids are hot or cold, it's a problem. If your kids have allergies, nose bleeding, dry skin, all of that goes down to your comfort level. So what I realized was the importance of taking our career seriously in the HVAC community or trade, but also just dealing with people on a different type of level,
Right.
like a heart to heart level, like being genuine, being authentic, and also to a lot of people who were like before, who were very impatient or very rude, began to realize like, hey, you know what? Like this is bigger than just I'm hot or I'm cold.
Right.
This is a global problem.
Yeah,
So
no doubt.
the patience level of people actually improved as well.
100%, man. You know what? I'll touch on this part as well. So I work in the mortgage industry there, and I got a couple of friends who joined here on Insta Live, but in that industry, in a lot of the sales industry, it's a lot of person to person, right? You go to someone's house, you sit at the dining table, you crack numbers together, right? That sort of thing. Mm-hmm. But when COVID happened, you couldn't just randomly go to somebody's house anymore. You couldn't go and just connect and sit down at the dining table. So everything had to be done virtually. And one of the things that came out of that was people who weren't as tech savvy became tech savvy.
Yes.
Right? They had to learn how to log on, do a Zoom call, do a Google Meets, right? And in fact, in the mortgage industry in particular, you'll hear people say that their business increased.
Yes,
right?
Absolutely.
Because now, instead of seeing two or three people, you could see 5 to 8 people.
Absolutely.
And bang them out.
Absolutely.
Right?
Absolutely.
And so if you're listening to this podcast from a business perspective, you're looking at COVID or whatever the next pandemic is, look at it as opportunity.
Absolutely, my friend. Absolutely. And there's opportunity in chaos.
Right.
I'm a very big advocate for being comfortable in uncomfortable situations. Like I said, we all have struggle in common, and it's all your attitude, right? Your attitude determines your altitude. So what that means is if you are able to adjust your attitude, be flexible, as Bruce Lee used to say, be like water, then you're able to control how you see things, your perspective. Is it really a problem, or do you just need to do more research in order to come up with solutions? If you're thinking solutions first, then there is no problem. The only problem is your attitude.
Bro, okay, kicking some knowledge here. We're getting in heavy right now already.
Oh yeah.
We're 12 minutes in and you're already dropping some nuggets.
Oh yeah.
One of the ones I wanted to touch back on is being comfortable in uncomfortable situations.
Absolutely.
So I have some thoughts on that. I wanted to hear more from you on that. Like, how does a person get to the point where they can be comfortable in an uncomfortable situation? How do you develop that type of skill?
I think that actually comes down to actually having the time to actually think about your life, think about what you like, think about what you don't like, think about your tolerance level.
Right.
Take some time in nature actually just writing down some of your trigger points. Like what are the must-haves? Like I must have this versus I want to have this.
Okay. Must-haves versus want-to-haves. All right.
Must-haves versus want-to-haves. Think about the things that you do well naturally and the things that you just absolutely do not like, right? Your trigger points.
Okay.
Right? And then from there, you'll be able to develop an understanding of, hey, is this situation a must-have situation or is it a want-to-have situation? Like, for example, at points when I was growing up, we didn't have air conditioning.
Right.
Okay? Air conditioning is actually a privilege at that time. This is like the early 90s, 80s, 90s.
Right. Just open a window back then, boy.
Open a window we just went outside. Like we were just riding our bikes, playing basketball, running around. We did everything, right?
Right.
So at the end of the day, our air conditioning was riding your bike, you get breeze. But certain days, it was just so hot. Like Toronto weather, it's like you're baking on a rock. There's no wind. This isn't the West Indies, right?
Right.
So you just take a cold shower.
Right.
Get some cold water, put it on your face. We used to have the back pocket rag, so you just wet it with cold water.
That's it, on the back of the neck.
On the back of the neck, right? On your face. Or go in the basement.
Right.
We did everything in the basement.
You know what? So go on.
So what I'm trying to say is, the want to have AC at that time wasn't an option, but we must keep cool, right?
Right.
So you come up with ways to be resourceful. You use cold water.
Right.
You open the freezer and take extra long to get a popsicle, and they let that nice, that freezer fan blow on your face,
That's
right?
it.
Or you go outside, or you just be hot and deal with it, man.
Well, bruv,
right?
Uncomfortable situations absolutely forces you to grow. It forces you to be creative. It forces you to be innovative, right?
Always.
You know what? There is no sense in hiding from or shrinking from a problem.
No.
Because if you're having a problem, somebody else is having a problem. And if you have a solution to that problem, you can profit from it. You can be the guy, right? Like, as you said, somebody's out there with, they're feeling hot. They don't get the opportunity to go and afford AC, and you got the wet rag on the neck. Right? Man, I'll be standing out there at the beach with a ton of rags and a bucket of water and say, you guys hot? Come buy me, 50 cents. Boom, let me slap this wet rag on the back of your neck. Pow, I'm gonna cool you down for 50 cents. You know what I mean? Let me make some money off of this, right? So a problem, there's a solution, right? And that solution is something that you can profit off. So if you are, like, whether it's COVID, the next pandemic, the internet goes down, Wi-Fi goes down, and you can't run your business, right? You're in a difficult situation financially. Those problems are what allow us to grow. And so being comfortable in uncomfortable situations, I also think boils down to the fact that you view every situation as an opportunity to grow. So you're not afraid of it.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah.
Like the situation where everybody else is uncomfortable, where everybody else is sitting there and just saying, man, I'm hot. Just sitting there. Well, me sitting there and I say, yeah, I'm hot. What am I going to do?
Absolutely.
Let me figure something out.
Absolutely. And this is for all my hustlers out there, okay? The way that a hustler thinks, okay? And this is not like negative people like, oh, you're a hustler, you're hustling drugs. No, the hustler is resourceful. He makes a way, or she makes a way out of no way. Right? You get lemons, you make lemonade, get a stand, sell that, create a business. That's what a hustler thinks. So if I'm hot, I'm going to figure out a way not to be hot. It's that simple. Or figure out a way to deal with being hot. Right. But I'll take it a step further.
Right.
I'm going to figure out a way where I'm not hot, my family's not hot.
Right.
Hey, now we have a business. Now we can monetize this. This is a side hustle. We can get some popsicles from Costco, go on to the schools, to the basketball court. We can get some cold water, a cooler. We can sell those, re-up, get some more, keep going. And then eventually you cool down more people, and now you're known as the AC guy.
The AC guy, the cool down guy.
The problem solver.
I mean? The problem solver guy.
Absolutely.
One of the things I wanted to touch on as well is, through COVID, expenses have gone up, boy.
Expenses have gone up. That's a great point. It's a good segue. Break it down for them.
Like, you sent a graphic to me a little bit earlier on in the week. I'll let you go through it when you have the chance there. But basically, the cost of everything has gone up.
Yep.
Right? If you know me, you know I like a good steak.
Yes.
I want a nice steak with the fat marbling in the middle.
Yes.
Right? And then when I put that bad boy on the grill, it's going to taste good. So one day I go in a Metro. And I know my steak is anywhere from $8 to $10, right?
Yes.
I went into a Metro. They're charging me $13.
That's extra $3.
That's an extra. Now for steak. Now look, your boy can afford the extra $3. Don't get it twisted. However, that shows how much stuff has gone up, right? And so in the grand scheme of things, now you've got a lot of people, maybe some of our listeners right now, who are looking at their lifestyle and saying, okay, the price of my groceries have gone up. The price of my gas has gone up. The price of everything that I have in my day-to-day has gone up. What can we suggest? How can we provide some advice to somebody right now who's maybe struggling from the side of their expenses, that what they can do? We've talked a little bit about side hustles. What else can they do in order to be able to ease in the burden a little bit?
Okay. Now it's brainstorming time. Jamal and Layton. Let's give you 10 tips, 10 ideas between Layton and I on how to improve that situation. So, bruv.
You want to break a couple down?
Yes, sir.
So the first one, I will say, cook some food, man. Learn how to cook. Get some food, go from the grocery store, put it in the pan, watch it, don't make it burn. right? Save some money that way. You don't eat out every day, right? Cost of food is going up. Don't make your food bad.
You say that one more time.
All right? You take the food, you go to the grocery store, you take the food, you put some oil in the pan, you put it in the pan, you watch it, you don't make it burn, right? That's going to save you some money. Don't eat out every day.
So you can learn. Don't make it burn. All right. Number 2.
All right, carpool, right? If you have to drive, if you have to go somewhere, there may be some people close to you that maybe have to go downtown, right? So
Yes, sir.
carpool, right? Save on the gas that way, work together. As you said, the cost of gas right now is at like $1.50 or something like that.
Yes.
So if you can find ways to save money there, carpool, bring a CD. If people not using the CDs anymore, we're talking about it's all Spotify these days.
Yes. Spotify, MP3.
There you go. Take that in the car. Yeah.
Here's another one. Write a list of want to have versus must have.
Right.
Very simple, right? You can text it to yourself, create an email. I don't know. I'm old school. I just pen and paper, right? Write a list. These are the things I must have, non-negotiable, versus these are the things I want to have. Right. Then you can calculate a budget and say, hey, these are the things I have to have. Like, for example, food, shelter, water, bed. Everything else is a want to have.
Agreed,
really and truly. If you actually are the person who needs to go to work, then you can maybe carpool to work. You can take the train. You can ride your bike. For all my people downtown who like to ride, you can jog. You can go for a walk. You can come up with different ways. Even talk to your friends on if they have any other particular ideas that can help you budget and get through these times. But I really learned that this pandemic has taught me the actual importance of prioritizing my priorities.
Ooh,
okay.
Prioritize your priorities.
So we'll talk about that, but let's go into number 3 or 4, my friend. What do you think?
So
anything else?
While I put down that nugget there, prioritize your priorities. Another thing that is really helpful is just look around your space, right? Like I'm in my space down here in the basement. There's things in here that I don't actually need to keep anymore, right? Flip that. Right?
Ooh.
Throw that on Kijiji,
Yes.
throw that on Craigslist,
Yes,
right?
sir.
There's other people that are looking for those things, right?
Yep.
Maybe you've upgraded already.
Yep.
Flip that. Make an extra $10 here, $20 there. That could be the gas payment, right? You got to go downtown, throw it on Craigslist beforehand. It's going to cost you $10. Somebody's going to tell you, hey, I'll buy that from you. On your way to wherever you're going, downtown, you drop it off, pick up your $10, pay for your gas on the way down.
Absolutely.
Do you know what I mean? So, you can flip some of the stuff that you got in your basement already.
Absolutely. And these are the things. A fourth one I'm going to tell you is call all your actual creditors and tell them, hey, I literally did this. There's a pandemic right now. As you know, and as a person you're talking to know, wherever they're in, Canada, US, India, China, wherever their call center is, you just tell them, hey, there's a pandemic right now. I can't pay you.
Right. Let's see what they say.
Straight up, because most of the banks, creditors, all of them they have what they have called COVID relief, where they suspend your payments. They literally did that from, I believe, 2020 till like the end, like December 2020. It was like a 6 to 8 months, like everybody was just off. I've never seen that in my lifetime ever, where Visa was like, hey, we know that they used to send letters. We know that you're having a hard time with your business, and we will suspend the interest on your payments and blah, blah, blah. So that's another way to save money. If you're actually thinking like a hustler, instead of paying your creditors, you're actually able to use that money for something else, like he said, selling your stuff on Kijiji, extra food for your friends and family, gas money, your car insurance payment, whatever it is, you can then allocate those payments for something else to get you through that time. You know what I'm saying? But I have my sister says the pandemic is over now. Is it? Because that's a great question or statement. The pandemic is over, but I personally think it's still going to happen. We're not seeing the effects of it yet. Yes, the actual pandemic is over, but so many businesses and industries are about to get slaughtered, and we're just in the beginning of witnessing that.
Oh my gosh. My brother-in-law, he was telling me he was downtown in the Path. So the Path is all retail stores, right?
Yeah.
It's like empty, ghost town.
Yep.
All of those retail stores are locked down.
Yep.
Now think about that. All of those retail stores are locked down.
I said it ended. Yeah.
All of the retail stores are locked down.
Yeah.
But those leases still have to be paid.
Yeah.
Right. So there's a major issue there in terms of that. But once again, to bring it back to the whole idea of opportunity, if you have a skill, right? So for example, down in the path there was a place that used to bake donuts. Used to light their donuts, right? It was like gluten-free donuts or whatever, right?
Yeah.
You have a skill, man. Use that skill, right? Your wife made some pretty killer cookies for me the other day.
Oh, you
right?
like those, mate.
Oh, bro. You know what I mean? So, like, you have a skill, you can monetize that. You make cookies for the family.
Yeah.
Boom, you throw that in.
Absolutely.
You know what I mean? Another thing is that came up. Talk about a hustler's mentality. A lot of people right now have their kids at home. They're working from home.
Yes.
And their kids are going to school.
Yes.
And the house is crazy. And after work, they got to go cook. Now, if you have a skill and you know somebody's there, why not say, look, I'll cook for you 3 days a week. I'll just drop it off.
Absolutely.
Boom. You don't have to worry about it. Your kids are there. I know it's hard for you to kind of cook them a nutritious meal, right? I'll take care of it. Monday, Wednesday, Friday, I'm going to drop off a plate of food for you, right? For your entire family and make some money there. So, don't, the pandemic or whatever situation we want to call ourselves in right now, once again, is another opportunity, man.
Absolutely. And Gustin Jamrock has said, look at Eglinton West. Like I actually seen it was like a ghost town. Like there's so many different things that are closing. Like for example, cashiers, okay? Cashiers are soon going to be phased out because there's so many stores that I went to, like, Shoppers Drug Mart, No Frills, Food Basic, not really Longo. Longo's a little bit. Home Depot's, that's my store. Lowe's, they have the self-checkout line, okay? Dollarama, self-checkout. Eventually, I personally believe, this is just me personally, cashiers are going to be extinct. They're going to have maybe 2 or 3 supervisors just making sure that it's working, that you're checking out, you're not stealing, and if you have any issues, they'll help you cash out your stuff and send you on your way, but machines are taking that over.
Bro, 100%, man.
Also, bank tellers. Bank tellers, see you later. By 2030, I predict no more bank tellers. It's just going to be bank machines, automated. All your stuff's going to be done online because money is turning digital, right? We already have this plastic money in Canada. I just think it's hilarious. But that's going to change over to a card, and then from a card, just to straight numbers on a computer or on your phone.
Bro, to your point about the whole grocery thing, not only is it becoming obsolete in terms of the store, remember, we're getting delivery now.
Yes.
I'm getting my groceries, can get them delivered. Yes. I can go pick them up, I can get them delivered. In fact, they know my grocery list before I even put it in.
Absolutely. It's an algorithm. So they track your previous orders, and then basically through that data, they can predict what your order is going to be the next and suggest to you. And they also will upsell you other stuff because they know what you want already.
Right.
Yeah.
People who buy the things that you buy
are
also interested in this. Right? And once again, it's the same sort of concept when it comes to your business, right?
Yes.
Somebody you meet with a client or whatnot, and I mean, you obviously your business better than me, but in mortgages and that sort of stuff,
absolutely.
Somebody asks for a help on a mortgage, they ask for help on appliance or whatever.
Yeah.
And at the end of it, generally people who are interested in the product or the service that you just purchased, are also interested in this.
Yeah.
If 4 out of 10 of those people agree with you, you've just increased your business by 40%. Just like that.
Say that one more time.
Right? If you go to everybody when you meet with them and you sell them a product or a service, and you say, based on what you've asked for me, basically you wanted to upgrade this appliance, or you wanted to get this toward a mortgage, or you wanted to do this, and you say, most of the people who look for what you've looked for also are interested in this.
Yes.
If 40% of those people, 4 out of 10 people agree with you, and move forward, you've increased your business by 40%. Let's not even call it 40%. Let's call it 20%.
Yep.
Right?
Yep.
That's a huge difference, right? In terms of your bottom line.
Yeah.
Year over year. So, they understand this in the on that larger scale in the grocery world. And so we can take advantage of it too.
Absolutely, brother. So there's the banks, there's the grocery stores, there's the movie theaters, there's the stores in the malls, there's clubs, there's bars, there's restaurants took a slaughtering. Everything changed. And a lot, like my sister works for the government. Like they were sent home. My wife's job, they straight just closed down because they're like, hey, what's the point of us renting out this space or leasing this space from this building, these 2 floors, when we can just close
Close it all down.
closed the contract, sent everybody to a building that we own. Then they polled the company, the actual employees, and were like, "Do you guys want to come back?" They were like, "No."
Nope.
They looked at their financial statement like, "We're making even more money,"
Right.
and then just close everything down. So everything is changing, because I remember before when you'd say, "I'm working from home,"
Yep.
everybody would look at you like, "Yo, this guy's in his pajamas. He's there chilling. He's playing video games, or he's watching like ESPN." And then you go back on the computer and all right, cool. Now I'm gonna take a nap. They were jealous, so the managers would be like, "Oh, like you can't be working from home. You got to come to the office and be miserable like us, right?" But now,
Right.
it's actually normal.
Standard practice, bro. And I'll say this to those who are listening as well. It's a beautiful thing.
Beautiful thing.
There's huge opportunity here. Once again, we talked about the fact that expenses are going up, right? The cost of living is going up.
Yeah.
At one stage, I was working a job here
Yes.
and for a company in Australia at the same time,
Break that down.
right? So I was working for a company out here, I was doing sales, that sort of stuff, working from home. But in the evenings, I had some goals I wanted to accomplish. So I got a job with a company in Australia
Yeah.
because I could do it from home. And they will pay me. They send me my T4, whatever, right? I'm independent. I go on, I do my job, right? And so now I've increased my income. So,
Yes.
The fact that we no longer stuck to a location in terms of how we earn our money means that you can earn your money multiple ways. In fact, you can outsource things. Like I'll give you this example. And some people thought that this guy was a bit of a crook, all right? I think he was just ingenious. So he had a company. Working for a company, has to log in remotely, right? Paying him a salary of, let's say, 80, 90 grand a year,
Yes.
right? What did he do? He says, okay, well, this thing that they're paying me to do, I can pay someone else to do, right? And he basically provided the login. They would log into his computer. From his computer, they would log into the the intranet for his company or whatnot. And he would do the work. And he would sit there and watch cat videos all day and get paid 80, 90 grand and pay 20 grand, outsource the work. Right? Like,
Wow.
he was clever that way. Now, yes, is it ethical and whatnot? But what I mean by that is because we're working from home now, we can be creative with the way that we earn money.
And what's interesting? Like for me personally, I realized when I was going to do service calls for customers, a lot of the customers were working from home. They were in the office, in the basement. They were doing it from their kitchen. They were working upstairs in one of their rooms or their bedroom. And even their kids were home. Now, interestingly enough, the kids were actually being home while you're working. So there was a lot of, they introduced Zoom. Zoom blew out of the water. If I had invested in Zoom, I'd probably be doing this podcast from like Tahiti or Bora Bora or something like that at that time, because Zoom exploded, right?
Huge.
Right? If I had told you about Zoom in 2019, you'd be looking at me like, yeah, that's great, but they got Google, they got Skype, they got all that. But
Right.
Zoom blew up. I actually had a family reunion through Zoom.
Oh, what?
We've had like the funerals through Zoom. They had weddings through Facebook Live or Zoom. Wow. So that exploded. So people are able to be more productive. Let me in the house while they're doing a Zoom call. They're working. Their kids are there watching Dora the Explorer or, Bob the Builder or whatever in the corner playing. And then I'm doing the service downstairs. So that changed the scheduling for the service call, because instead of me coming after 6,
Right.
when you get home from work, I'm able to come during the day. So the productivity increased from an HVAC perspective because more people are working from home. So your home became your business. And then you need to have, in the wintertime, you need to have heat and hot water, obviously. And you also, in the summertime, you can't be sitting in front of a computer that generates a certain amount of heat and your AC is not working.
True.
Because if you have to work, you're hot, your kid's screaming, your level of tolerance goes down.
100%.
So AC actually exploded. So the sales went through the roof. And that's what taught me the importance of discipline, being resourceful, but also forecasting what's coming. And if you're just waiting for it to happen, it's going to be different than forecasting it, right? Mm-hmm. So that's one of the things I've learned. I always try to think 5 to 10 steps ahead so I can see what's going to happen, research what's going to happen, prepare myself. So if or when it does happen, I already have a plan in place.
Bruv, that is a perfect thought to my next question to you, which is, based on what we've seen over the last year or whatnot, what do you think some of the trends are going forward, right? Like we've talked about working from home. We've talked about well, we haven't touched on. We should probably touch on things like hygiene, entertainment, that sort of stuff. Like, what kind of trends you see coming up over the next 5 to 10 years?
Trends, home gyms is one. Working out from home, building your own gym. Two is having, if you have a single or semi or even a townhouse, creating another space in the background, in the backyard, at the side of the house for people to work out of. Like, take your kids out, do art out there, and rent that space out for people to do either podcasts, photos, work out, mechanics, anything, extending the house space and maximizing the house space. Because like I know, property value has gone through the roof.
Yep.
Okay, so I see that home gyms, shared spaces in the backyard or the side of the house, cooking from home is going to be huge.
Yeah.
Also, renovations have gone up. Renovations have gone up by 2030, and this is the U.S. And also, the U.S. is about $90 billion.
Wow.
Canada is smaller. The population is like 38 million.
Right.
It's going to go up 40%, which is going to be about 20 billion.
Okay.
That's renovations, because people are home now, so they want to renovate their house. They want to expand their house. They want to do a lot of things to the house to make the house more office-like, maximize every single crevice, space, square foot of the house. So I see that. Also, healthcare-wise, people are getting healthier because of COVID. A lot of people have passed away, unfortunately. So people are taking it more serious as far as what they're going to do, as far as, what they intake in their body. So health is going to be huge, massive. Airbnb, huge. Renting out, like I have a pool, renting out your pool. There's actually an app where you can rent out your pool.
Talk to me about that.
Yeah, so there's an app. I can't remember the name right now, but I'll put it in the comments. There's an app. I think it's called Swimly. Thank you. It's called Swimly.
Okay, Swimly.
The app is called Swimly. So basically, you can rent out your pool hourly or in spaces for other people to come swim in the pool with their kids. Or you can teach them how to swim. You can get instructors to teach your kids how to swim. Or if you're an adult, teach you how to swim. And you can actually rent that out hourly. And as a technical guy, all I got to do is just make sure I have enough chlorine to shock the pool, make sure the water's filtered out, clean my filters, clean my pucks, and then keep it moving. So make sure the pH balance is at below 7, and make sure that, the water is clear for you and your kids or for you to swim. And it's from a mostly like a safety, sanitary perspective. Clean water, you can learn how to swim, you can maximize your pool if you have one, and you can also swim in a pool without having to go to a public pool. Which is just nasty. So that's why people are getting more creative, more inventive with the spaces they have.
Yeah. And
I see that coming as well.
Dude, that was huge, man. I think one of the things that you mentioned there that really stuck with me was the gym space.
Gym space, huge.
You know what I mean? Like when the gyms was locked down, people were sweating, man. Yeah. People were like, yo, the gym was their sanctuary.
Yeah.
So you have a garage space and you can do it up quite nice. Mm-hmm. Just like you said, man, you can rent out your garage space for an hour, right? Somebody comes, just want to get a workout in for an hour. Absolutely. You get your squat rack in there, a couple of dumbbells, make sure it's clean, sanitary, make it look nice. And people will pay to be able to use that space, man, because especially if it's close by, right? People in your neighborhood, you typically go to a certain gym, but that gym is locked down.
Yep.
So now you're advertising in your local whatever that your garage. People could come and rent out your garage, right?
Yep.
I mean, that's phenomenal. The other thing that you talked about was home cooking. Right?
Home cooking is huge.
When I was growing up, my parents used to say, yo, if you can't cook, you can't eat. Right? It was just plain and simple. So I had to learn how to cook to feed myself. But there's a lot of people who can't cook. Yeah. So if you can teach someone, you can show someone how to cook. Simple recipes, right? Or if you want to cook and turn that into a business, right? Like I said, you want to drop something off Monday, Wednesday, Friday. By all means, you can do that. That's certainly a way to take advantage of the opportunity. And
absolutely, brother. That's certainly a way to take advantage of the opportunity in creating opportunity out of chaos. Another thing is anything that we used to do physically can now be done virtually. So if it can be done virtually, that increases your market share. That's a global thing. So there's people who will be watching this who are from India, China, Africa, Italy, Syria, Miami, Colombia, because this podcast, yes, we're from Toronto, but it's a global mindset. The mindset effect is global. So if you can do this at a table where before we do like a seminar, maybe you'd have a seminar with like, 15, 20, 30, 40 people.
Right.
Now you can actually do this globally. So we can be teaching a course right now
100%.
globally, right? We can offer, instead of having a physical hard copy, you can have digital copies of books, digital courses, right? Digital calendars, digital recipes, digital menus, right? So these are things that can expand your market share, but also give you the opportunity to still make money from your house, but gives you the most valuable commodity. This is the thing that I wanted to talk about as well.
Talk to me.
This pandemic has given a lot of people the time to think about what's important in life.
Bro.
Because the time you can't get back. Everything else you can. You can always make back. Like I said, I think optimistically, right? So if I'm going to spend the money, I can always make more. But if I spend the time, you can't get that back, Rendrin. So the pandemic has taught me what's important. Family, faith, finances, and freedom.
Oh.
Family, faith, finances, and freedom. So if you use your imagination, okay, you can create multiple streams of revenue for yourself to help yourself, but also to help others. I'll drop a major key right now.
All right.
One of the biggest things I've learned through going to hundreds of houses, okay, is the seniors need help. So if you're a person who's just sitting like, yo, what can I do? I want to create a business. I want to have my own side business. I need to do something. I want extra money. Help the seniors, fam.
Right.
Because they have the resources. A lot of them are retired. A lot of their kids have moved out. Unfortunately, their partner has passed away, and they need, they need groceries. They need something fixed in their house. They need something painted. They need something repaired. They need even someone just to come and talk to them about their life. You know how much wisdom I've gotten from sitting down and talking to seniors and just about how, like, why did you come to Canada? And like, how is it growing up? And what did you do for a living? And what were your hours like? And, because they will impart wisdom.
Right.
That gave me understanding about myself, but also just everyone. Right. So you can always create an opportunity out of something. You just got to use your imagination and think about how can I give back? Because if you come from service and serve others, you'll get served.
Right. You think of others first. I mean, it just stands true to life, right?
Yeah.
When you're thinking of other people first, and take the time to understand, right? If you seek to understand rather than to be understood, I think it sets you up long term, right? Because I only know what I know.
Yes, sir.
Right? That's my cap. I know what I know.
Yep.
So the only way for me to grow is to go outside of that. And the only way to go outside of that is to go to others.
Yes.
So if I spend the time trying to understand them, by definition, I expand what I know.
Absolutely.
Right? Because now I've gained additional knowledge, gained additional information that I can now process, right? The question I would ask you, I mean, you get to do it in your business, which is meet people, elderly, people who have been through life experience. I guess, how would you advise someone who maybe doesn't have that to build that connection, to connect with somebody senior or older than themselves?
Absolutely. The first things first is I would look through my phone.
Yep.
And ask, go through my phone, create a list of the top 10 people you talk to on a regular basis, and ask them, hey, this is my idea. Can you recommend three people who are of this age to this age that I can call and talk to about what I'm doing?
Bruv. Practical 101, make it happen. First thing, that's straightforward.
Yeah. Another thing you can do is actually look at your social media to see who's on there, who's actually of a certain age, who needs help, right? You can start off with your family, your immediate family, your aunts and uncles, your cousins, your church or mosque members, your community, your friends. You can ask them, hey, how are your parents? How are they coping? Do they need help? How are your grandparents? Do they need help? This is what I'm trying to do. Can you help me? It's very simple. Hey, my name is Jamal Miles. I want to give back and serve others. Currently, right now, I have a business idea where I want to help seniors get groceries or help seniors get services or take them to their checkups or clean their drive or whatever it is. This is my idea. Can you refer 3 people who may need this? Here's my number. Here's my name. Here's my email. Send that out. Allocate half an hour, 20 minutes, an hour, 2 hours, whatever you want, every single damn day. I guarantee you it'll generate some results. And then from there, you can go from there. And when that $20 or $30 or $10 or $50 or $500, whatever it is, hits your palm,
boom.
You're going to keep going.
You're going to keep going, rinse and repeat, man.
Yes, sir.
It's just building that momentum, man. I think even with how we're doing with this podcast, right, is that consistency, man. Just deciding you're going to do it, right? You know the platform, you know exactly what you want to do, and you have to work at it and keep putting in the time, putting in the effort. So if you want to connect with seniors, you want to connect with people in whatever business you're in, just start, just do it. Reach out to them, give them a call, as you said, put that plan in place, and see where it goes from there. Another part I wanted to kind of touch on there is relationships, right? Because
yes,
a friend of mine is a police officer, and one of the things that has really increased is domestic calls, right?
Oh man, not to cut you off, domestic calls went through the roof. Like at March, from March 2020 to I'd say September 2020, the number one call for police officers, because I have a few friends who are police officers, was domestics.
Yeah. Domestics went up heavily. And, I say this because we talk about finance, we talk about money. They say that, if you have a partner, you're married, you earn 13% more than someone who is not married in the same industry, which means your spouse is a huge part of your income generating potential. And so therefore it's critical that your relationship with your partner is good. So with all of this being happened, people stuck in their houses, both people working in the same house, kids are running around, like, I guess, how could somebody manage that? I'll give you my thoughts on that firstly, which is you have to prioritize your own time. Like, you're with your spouse basically all day, every day, whether you're upstairs and downstairs or whatever, they're in the vicinity. And in order to come together and that time to be special, you have to have some time alone. You have to have some time where you can build, some time where you can think, some time where you can get the steam off for the day and set those boundaries between you and say, look,
absolutely,
when I'm done work, I just need to do X. I need to hit the weight room. I need to go play ball. I need to walk. I need to draw. I need to just maybe chill out, watch a movie. And then you can take the time to come together. That is critical. Other thing is, get some help, man. I don't have the situation where I have very young kids running around, but if that is the situation, I could tell that would be stressful. Get some help. Like, don't try to play hero, right? Part of being a hero is knowing when you need a co-partner. You need somebody to be able to come in and help out. I think that's going to be a critical component to it as well.
Absolutely. Get some help. Another thing I wanted to add is babysitting.
Yep.
That's going to do numbers. Babysitting is huge because think about it. You've been at home with your family for about 2 years, everybody. Right. Okay. Or if you live on your own, you've been at home by yourself 2 years, and you go to see your friends or parents or whatever, but everybody's been in their head for 2 years. Once everything goes back to normal, right? People are going to want to go out.
Right.
A lot of those parents aren't going to want to bring their kids.
True.
Like,
good point.
100%. Like, I love my kids, but there's times where I'm just like, you guys stay home. I'm going out. Like, whether I go out with my wife or I go out by myself or she goes out by herself and I stay with the kid. But you need to have that time to reflect, rest, prioritize, and then go out on your mission, right? And that's what this pandemic has actually taught me personally.
That's a great point.
You have to have that time for yourself in order to cope and make it through. And like, just because people are just going, there's been a spike in mental health, like mental health cases, mental health episodes. And everybody's been stressed. Everybody has anxiety. Everybody is, freaking out over what, like, where they're gonna be, where they're gonna go, where they're gonna be 10 years from now, 5 years from now. But literally myself, I just take it one step at a time.
Yeah.
And I realized that in prioritizing your life and finding out what's important,
Yeah.
you're able to cope day to day. And I think a lot of people took a lot of things for granted.
Mm-hmm.
And that's why once that was taken away,
Right.
it increased their stress level, and then it increased the conflict. And then you have, a freak out or a breakout or a huge battle or war happens in the household. And one of the biggest things, fam, is if your household isn't good, you can't show up outside your household. You will not.
Yeah, you won't show up as you're supposed to, man. No,
Yeah.
when things are not good at home, it has an impact on every other area of your life, man.
Yes,
Unless
sir.
you're a psychopath, you're gonna work, it's not gonna feel the same. You go to your business, it's not gonna feel the same.
Yeah.
I remember before having a partner, a girlfriend, and sometimes your chest would just get, my chest would get tight. Like, it just wasn't a great situation, right? And so anytime, it's like, if to go see her or whatnot, like, my chest would get tight. And that was an indication for me, like, something isn't right here.
Yes, sir.
Do you know what I mean? And so every time I'm at work or I'm at school or doing whatever, and I'm looking at the clock and it's countdown time, right? It's like, now your chest starts to get tight. You can't have that. You know what I mean? And so, it is critical to kind of figure out what is going to be required in order to make sure that relationship is going kosher, it's going smoothly. And that's with your spouse and with the kids too, because they need time. They need daddy time. They need mommy time. They need whatever, right? Mm-hmm. And I've got to try to find a way to carve that time out. One thing I thought was really, really important for me is, because my workspace and my home space merged into one of the things that is difficult to do is to separate the two, because anytime you walk or you're near that workspace, you feel this pull that you have to log on the computer.
Oh,
you have
yes,
to check
sir.
an email.
Talk about it.
right?
Talk about
And so, but when you've decided and you've said to your family that you're done, they're looking to you now for everything else.
Yes.
Right? Are you going to do this? You're going to take me here? You're going to cook this? We're going to talk. We're going to watch a movie.
Yeah.
And so it's really, really important to set those boundaries in terms of when you stop.
Absolutely.
Right? If you feel like, look, I'm going to work long, I'm going to work till 7, that's okay. Set those expectations and work till when you're working.
Yeah.
But you've got to find a way to be able to set those boundaries as to when you stop, because the other thing is your co-workers, when they see you online and you send in an email at 9-10 o'clock, it makes it okay for them to respond. And it creates this level of expectation that everybody's working later and later and later. Yeah. We've got to set the boundaries and say, okay, I'm putting in a lot of work here, but at this time I stop, so I can focus on the other things that are just as important to me, which is the time with my kids, the time with my spouse, etc., etc.
Absolutely. And the thing that you talk about multiple things. The biggest thing is expectations, right? So we were actually able to look at life like, if you send out a message, okay? Because I remember my cousin in Florida, I remember writing him a letter, sending the letter, and have to wait like until Canada Post processed the letter, sent it to the U.S. Post.
That's old school, man.
Then he gets it, reads it, has to think about what to write back, then allocate time in between him working his 3 jobs to then write me back. And the entire time, I'm going to school and doing whatever I'm doing, playing soccer, running around. But then once he sends me the letter, in between that time, I'm actually anxious and excited, waiting to hear back what he has to say and how he's doing and what he thinks about this situation. That actually increased. Like, I went to school at York in around 2004. I took a course on communication, and the course was talking about the monster that's coming of SMS messaging at that time. Right. We used to have instant messenger, Windows Messenger and all that, MSN Messenger. That's what it was called. Oh my
gosh, I remember MSN.
Right.
Boy.
So that was the first part of SMS messaging, which is like text messaging. Right. What they were saying was, once you send out a message, it actually opens the door for anxiety. Because what ends up happening is, when you send out a message, you're anticipating, or even in some cases, expecting the person to respond. Okay. And if they don't respond, then they're like, why aren't you responding? I sent you the message. Oh, why isn't you responding?
Real talk.
And that door gets wider and wider and wider. So you actually formulate your own conclusions.
Bruv, you're talking the talk now, because that reminds me of something.
Yeah.
Who remembers the you see it right now.
Yeah.
The check marks.
Yes.
Right? BlackBerry.
Yes.
When that came out with that.
Yeah.
And you were talking to a girl or whatnot,
Yeah,
and
yeah.
you sent her a message or
Yeah.
whatever, she sent you a message,
Yeah.
and you don't respond right away.
Yeah.
Because she didn't see the check mark, you didn't
Yeah.
read it.
Yeah, yeah.
Why you left me on unread?
Yeah.
Why you left me on red
Yeah.
and didn't respond? Anxiety. Right? There's like, they're sending a message, they want an instant response,
Yeah.
right? And if there isn't a response, it says somebody's feeling that means something about who, you don't like me, you're
Yeah.
this, you're that.
Yeah.
So you're right, man. That SMS, instant messaging has really kind of changed even our physiology. Like, your nervous system is reacting to that.
Well, 100%. And what I'm trying to say is, to make a long story short, with COVID, it actually exacerbated that, because now somebody's sending you a message, you're driving, and they're like, why aren't you responding to my message? I'm driving. Or you're at work. Okay, like Leighton comes down, he's gonna bang out some work in his office, sends out an email.
Right.
The person who gets it is like, oh, I'm watching this show, or I'm eating with my family, or I'm planning my day. It's 9:00 p.m., but I got to respond to Leighton, because if I don't respond to Leighton, then my manager's going to be like, why didn't you respond? Didn't you know Leighton said it? So it's a huge cycle of anxiety. And anxiety for me, fam, like, I'm a person who, when I went through my accident, I literally couldn't walk. Fam.
Right.
I was in a wheelchair, fam. Okay? And I always look at it like this. I don't really tell too many people this, but I'll just keep it real on this podcast. I compare most of my issues or problems in life or at work with me mash up in the hospital, like struggling and fighting for my life.
Wow.
If it's not that severe or critical, it's not really a problem.
Right.
I just haven't figured out a way to come up with solutions.
Right.
To overcome that problem.
Bro, perspective.
So if somebody's like, hey, Jamal, I sent you an email or a message or whatever, I do a job for a customer and they want to fool around with paying me. Before COVID, fam, honestly, I would have been all over them. Like, I would have been at your house like, it's warm in your house or it's cool in your house, right?
Suge Knight is coming knocking on the door.
100%, yeah. Everyone's good? Your kids are good in bed? They're comfortable? Yeah? That's because of me. Pay me now. I've had to do that a few times, fam. Right? But what I'm trying to say is, now I have more patience.
Right.
The pandemic has given me patience.
Yeah.
Has given me insight, self-reflection, so I can actually monitor, is this worth me having anxiety over?
Bruv. Understood.
Right? So if somebody sends me a text message or a phone call or WhatsApp and I don't respond, it's not because I'm being vindictive or I'm trying to mess with your head. It's just I just have priorities.
Right.
I have different things I want to do.
Absolutely.
And this pandemic has taught me what's important. And I mentioned it before. Faith, family, finance, freedom. And those four things are the pillars of my mindset. So if it has nothing to do with that, it can always wait.
Talk the talk, man. Talk the talk.
Yeah.
You know what? You're absolutely right, man.
Yep.
I concur with that 100%. The time with family has been critical. I even think about my parents.
Yes, sir.
You mentioned about wisdom. So many people have lost people close to them during this last couple years.
Yes, sir.
And I really appreciate the insight and the wisdom of my parents more than ever, right?
Absolutely.
Sitting down, listening to talk to them. Hey, my friend says, remember the last one there, fitness, right?
Yes.
Family, faith, finance, freedom, and fitness.
Yes, sir.
Thank you, Mr. Liverpool.
Yes, sir.
But yeah, spending time with my family and listening to them talk wisdom, man,
Yep.
and talk about the things that they went through, right? I remember my mom talking about back in the day in Jamaica when dengue fever was ravaging everybody and Spanish flu and all this sort of stuff, right? How they handled it and the creativity and ingenuity they had to come up with, man. And just listening to their wisdom, man. And so you're right, like having priorities about what is important, what is valuable, because
Absolutely.
it's those times and those memories that when we look towards the end of our life is going to be important. The money that I made and the money that I make is only really in order to be able to have those experiences, to be able to facilitate them, right? Years ago, I'll tell you a quick story there. Like I remember, if you listen to the last podcast, I talked about how I basically doubled my income in the following year and was able to go on a family cruise.
Yes.
First cruise. And, it felt so nice to be able to pay for that and to be able to go and eat food and travel and do this sort of stuff. Like, that's a memory. the money in of itself, I don't remember.
Yeah.
But what I do remember is the time that we spent on the ship. When we sat down, we broke bread together, we had breakfast.
Absolutely.
People had a good time when we did the zip line. Like, that is what the money's there for, right?
Mm-hmm. And the thing is, money, if you really think about it, is just to get you what you want or what you need. That's it.
Right.
You can't be emotional about money.
Right. It's only a means to an end.
It's just a tool to get you what you want.
Just a tool, man.
Just like a credit card, just like a line of credit, just like you know what I'm saying? So
Yep.
I obviously you don't want to be irresponsible, right? You have to be responsible with your money and your finances, and you know, you have a certain mindset in regards to progressing. But
no doubt.
Too many people, I've realized, I've talked to many clients who are seniors, okay? Because also too, what Leighton said, he values his parents. If you don't have parents anymore, God bless them, or you don't have mentors or father figures, if you grew up with a single parent household, you can still have mentors who are older than you who can impart wisdom, like 110%, right?
Yeah.
And one of the things I've learned is when I ask them, hey, you know, you have a huge house or you have a small house, or like, you know, you had everything, like all the material, earthly possessions that anybody could want, what are some of the things that you wish you did more of? And every single person, white, black, old, young, any tall, short, they've all told me, man, woman, I wanted to do more things and spend more time with certain people, and I wanted to travel more.
Ooh, those are the two major things.
Every single person told me that, fam. Rich, poor, they said, I wish I spent more time with the people I love, and I wish I saw more of the world. So just based on those conversations, this is why me and this gentleman here are actually doing this, because we've talked about this for literally like 10 years. Mm-hmm. We've had conversations where I wish I recorded.
Oh my gosh.
Like real thing. Like, so if anything was to happen to Leighton, right? Like, I would remember some of these things we talked about.
Yeah, man.
So if anything is to happen to me or him, this podcast, these recordings, is going to outlive us. Yeah. So life is more about imparting as much wisdom as possible, because you want to leave a legacy, right? And when I say you, I'm more so talking to myself. I don't mean like you, the actual person who's been listening to this, but I want to leave a legacy, and I think it's important that you leave a legacy to your friends, family, children, if you have, right? So that way, that wisdom can then carry them through the next phase, because I lived through 80s recession, which was nuts. House interest rates were like 13-14%. Okay. I lived through Y2K, which was also, we thought the world was going to end in 1999. I remember December 31st, 1999. I had a great time. We lived through the mortgage crisis, which was ridiculous.
Yep.
Like, if I had seen that, like, obviously hindsight is 2020, right? We lived through that, and then we lived through the pandemic, which is, in my personal opinion, is like World War III.
Man, it's been mad.
It's been mad. So all of those situations in my 39 years of living, fam, has taught me the most important thing is to just do it. If you want to call someone, call them. If you want to go somewhere, go. If you want to start a podcast, do it. And on top of that, fam, one of the things that's going to grow from now, podcasting.
Huge, man.
It's going to be massive. Like, there's 1 million podcasters right now. There's 500 million YouTube influencers right now. 500 million.
Right.
Okay? That means there's 999 million more podcasters coming in the next 7 to 10 years.
Talk the talk.
So this is going to be the new way of learning, right?
100%. And you know what? Yeah. Sorry, I'll add to that. Is if I think back to we think back to the shows that we used to watch 5 years, 10 years ago. Most of us don't watch those things now. We've moved on to new things. So the podcasts that were massive, like look at Joe Rogan's podcast, it's phenomenal. Yes. Right? It's not going to be that way forever. There's going to be new people coming in and taking that top spot, right?
Absolutely.
And so it is important to remember that with this new wave, with this new growth, there's opportunity there.
Yes.
Right? Because somebody's going to want to change. It's like, I don't want to listen to Joe Rogan anymore. I'm tired. I know his thing. Yeah. Right? So one, unless he updates it, same thing for us. We grow, we improve, we can be, great at this. but also the focus on growth and development to be fresh and to be new. There's always opportunities coming in this industry.
In every industry, fam. So I just want to let everybody know that we're basically doing this from our hearts, right? We're not like professionals at this, but we're getting it done, and I hope it's inspiring, right? And I know that I hope you guys are enjoying it. It's going to be recorded. It's going to be on our YouTube page, The Mindset Effect. If you go to the YouTube, The Mindset Effect, you'll see our episodes on there. We're going to be on Spotify. We're going to be on all major outlets, right? You can email us. We'll have our information. We'll post it on IG and also on Facebook as well, if you're a Facebook user as well. But we're doing this to impart wisdom, our experience, and at the end of the day, we're just progressing. I'm not a perfectionist. I'm a progressionist.
There you go.
Leighton is a progressionist, not a perfectionist. It doesn't have to be perfect, but it absolutely has to be real and authentic. Right, and that's what the mindset effect that we're trying to do. So we're just gonna work on our podcast. We'll get better. The first 3 episodes we've done so far has been myself, Jamal Miles.
Yep, Soul Strong, L-Dub, Leighton Watson.
Right. So the next we're gonna be interviewing different actual business owners, trades. Faith.
People in communities of faith.
People in communities of faith, and regular people who just want to share their story and impart wisdom and help, boost a positive mindset. Right. So, what we want to do is just keep it going. Thank you for everyone for watching, taking the time out of your busy lives to listen to this.
Yeah, appreciate it.
Episodes will be posted in the future. And what we want to get into, my friend, because we're at like a minute 06. A minute 06, I wish. An hour and 6 minutes. Just go through the summary, wrap up, and just give them the value of what they can, what we went through, my friend.
Absolutely, man. So, we started off talking about being comfortable in uncomfortable situations, right? That is where the growth happens. Put yourself in places where you're uncomfortable, and that will challenge you to grow, to innovate, to be better, right? You've got to be able to distinguish in your life for what is a must-have versus something that we want to have, right? Not everything that we want to have is a must-have, and especially during these times where finances can be tight for many, making that distinction is critical. A nugget dropped by Jamal today was prioritize your priorities, right? We do have priorities, but some are more than others, right? And so know what those priorities are. And in terms of where the industry's changing, you've got things like bank tellers are going to be, switching up. We don't think we're going to be using them as much. Cashiers are going to be changing, right? So make sure that you take advantage of the opportunities, right? The industries are changing. Home renovations are up. Gym uses are up. Home cooking is up. Airbnb, right? Basically saying that there's so many trends happening right now in the world due to COVID. You can take advantage of them and see what you can do to be able to help your family. And also, if you want to be able to increase your knowledge and your wisdom, just go on your phone, talk to the top 3 people and say, look, I want to be able to learn more. I want to be able to grow more. I want to increase my wisdom. Who do you know that I could talk to that could maybe share some knowledge and impart with us? Then the last couple of things was our words will outlive us. Right. Our podcast is to inspire, to grow, to push us all to be better individuals for ourselves, for our family, for our communities. And so having something like this is so that our words will outlive us and have an impact long after we're gone. And then finally, we are progressionists, not perfectionists.
Absolutely.
We are the people who want to move forward. We want to grow. It's not always going to be pretty, but we're going to take and put one foot in front of the other and keep moving forward. So let me just close off with a quick prayer. Dear God, we just thank you. We've completed another episode, and we just pray for all of our listeners. We pray that their lives will be improved from the time that they spend with us, and that you show them how to be exactly what you want and what you've called them to be. And we pray this in your name. Amen.
Amen. And on top of that, I appreciate you all for joining. Thank you, L-Dub, for being here. Allow me to, facilitate the podcast with you. And I want to thank myself for actually the motivation, the clarification, and also the inspiration every day to push myself past being comfortable, almost to the edge of insanity. But we're here. We're trying to make a difference. We're trying to get this podcast, episode 3, and we plan on doing many more.
No doubt.
I hope you guys have a great week. If you have any questions, hit up us on IG, call us. We'll post all of our information on our account, and we can go from there. And if we didn't comment, I'm still trying to hold the camera, monitor the audio, talk with Leighton.
We'll figure it all out,
We'll
man.
figure it all out, right? But one day at a time, my friends. Enjoy the week, make the most of it, and always remember this. Everything you have in life, you have because you must have it.
Mm-hmm.
Everything else you didn't get in life is because
It was optional.
it was optional. So I'm going to leave you with that. Anything else you want to say to the people, then?
Nah, man. Love, peace, hair, grease. Until next time.
Till next time. Peace, y'all.
Later.